In the year 2124, a man walks into a store. But there are no price tags, no cash registers, no wallets, only whispers of an ancient currency that once ruled the world. Coins? Paper? Forgotten. Traded for something far more invisible. No one noticed when it truly began. There was no official announcement, no grand declaration that cash had started dying. It slipped away quietly, like fog at sunrise, first in the cities, then the towns, then the rural heartlands. At first, people still carried bills in their pockets, not because they needed them, but out of habit. Some even tucked them into books, as if trying to preserve a relic of a past that had already begun to rot. In 2052, the first shock came. A global virus triggered a wave of panic, not just about health, but about contact. Cash was suddenly dirty. Supermarkets, banks, and even vending machines placed signs, "No physical money accepted." Most obeyed, thinking it was temporary. It wasn't. That year, cash usage dropped by 80%. By 2056, a full generation had grown up without ever holding a paper note. Then came the swift rollouts. Biometric wallets, your iris, your fingerprint, your heartbeat replaced cards and coins. Governments called it frictionless commerce. Banks promised zero fraud, full traceability, and a cleaner, faster economy. But something changed. A simple street purchase, a coffee, a bus fare, was now part of a global database. Anonymous transactions? Extinct. Some believed this was evolution, others extinction. The whispers began around 2065. This wasn't progress. This was design. In 2071, under the guise of economic reform, a major government decommissioned its last national mint. All citizens are encouraged to transfer any remaining physical currency into digital vaults, the statement read. But in truth, it wasn't a suggestion, it was a warning. The grace period lasted 60 days. After that, holding cash was declared suspicious behavior. Not illegal, but enough to flag your ID. People didn't revolt. They adapted. Some even cheered. No more wallets to lose, no more robberies. But somewhere in the back alleys of high-rise cities, stories persisted. Stories of cash hoarders called hollow bankers who refused to submit. They buried coins in secret compartments, passed notes through coded messages, risked arrest to pay in paper. Their motives weren't greed. They believed in something else, untracked choice. By 2085, children were shown photos of old currencies in virtual museums. People used these? They laughed. Teachers explained it like a fable, clumsy, inefficient, primitive. But one student, on a silent night in a megacity slum, found a crumpled note hidden behind a wall crack. He held it gently, unsure if it was trash or treasure. He couldn't scan it. It had no chip, but somehow it felt alive. What killed cash wasn't just digital convenience. It was a gradual erosion of trust in the physical. It was the world choosing speed over privacy, structure over freedom. And yet, in the shadows, people still whispered. Not all things lost stay buried. At first, it felt like liberation. No more fumbling for change, no wallets weighing down your pockets, no worry about losing money. With a blink, a nod, or a simple walk past a scanner, transactions completed themselves. Life was fast, clean, seamless. But underneath the surface, something far more intricate was unfolding. When the first wave of central bank digital currencies (CBDC) launched globally, the pitch was irresistible. Government-backed stability, lightning-fast payments, and total transparency. It was sold as the final step toward financial equality. But few noticed the fine print. Digital didn't just mean easier. It meant programmable. And programmable meant controllable. Your money could now be coded with conditions. A stipend given to a single mother could be locked to only allow purchases of food and school supplies. A government bonus issued during an energy crisis could only be spent at authorized fuel stations. It sounded reasonable, helpful even, until it wasn't. When protests broke out in a borderless online community, thousands had their digital wallets restricted overnight. Not drained, just frozen. No warning, no court order, a silent punishment. The system didn't need human decisions anymore. AI had become the gatekeeper, analyzing behavior, tone, speech, and social reliability scores. One wrong opinion online, and your next payment at the grocery store would fail. No one printed headlines about it. No one wanted to admit they were afraid. But they were. Everyone was. There were no robberies anymore, no financial fraud. But there were different crimes, crimes of dissent, crimes of non-compliance. The money in your account still had your name, but you didn't own it. It belonged to a logic engine, a set of invisible rules dictated by someone you couldn't see, couldn't question, couldn't predict. By 2100, bank accounts no longer existed as independent assets. They were tied to behavior. Miss a few tax filings? Your spending was throttled. Travel too much without reason? Access denied. Apply for a job flagged as politically sensitive. Your financial trust score would quietly dip, affecting everything from your loan eligibility to your dating profile ranking. People started whispering again, this wasn't finance. It was governance. But without votes, without representatives. A silent economy built on algorithms and obedience. And yet, in public, most smiled. They tapped to pay. They posted pictures of their financial scores, their perks, their privileges. Compliance had become currency. Obedience, the new wealth. What use was rebellion when resistance meant starvation? The beauty of the system was its subtlety. It didn't destroy freedom with violence. It replaced it with comfort until no one remembered what freedom felt like. They were called ghosts, people who existed without a digital footprint, who bought and sold without leaving a trace. The system labeled them dangerous. The media called them economic outlaws. But among the quiet few, they were seen as the last hope of true freedom. It started small. In abandoned train stations and underground food markets, people began trading again not with tokens or apps, but with old coins, faded bills, and barter goods. A loaf of bread for an hour of labor. A gold ring for a week's worth of fuel. The trades were slow, clumsy, almost ceremonial, but they were real. And more importantly, they were private. Drones couldn't scan them. I couldn't track them. These transactions existed in a bubble outside the machine. But that very invisibility made them a threat. Governments responded with soft crackdowns. Stores accepting cash were fined. Citizens found with unauthorized currency were questioned. Wallets with traces of offline trades were flagged. But this only pushed the resistance deeper, made it bolder. By 2110, entire enclaves had formed. Hidden towns, disconnected from the global grid. No digital screens, no smart walls. No surveillance systems blinking in the dark. Only wind, trade, and whispers. Here, people print their own currencies. Some used carbon coins. Others minted silver tokens from salvaged tech scrap. They didn't care about denomination. What mattered was the idea, value defined by people, not by code. These pockets were not utopias. They were rough. Supplies were limited. Medicine was scarce. But there was something else in abundance choice. The system retaliated harder this time. It declared these areas economically non-compliant zones. Satellite surveillance increased. Food shipments were cut. Access to basic services, electricity, water, health records was revoked for any individual caught supporting the underground economy. The world called it a security measure, but to those inside, it felt like siege. Still, they endured. A few insiders tried to help. Bankers, tech engineers, even former AI coders, people who saw too much and couldn't sleep at night. They funneled old cash to these enclaves through secret channels, erased surveillance data, created digital noise to protect analog lives. They knew they couldn't stop the system, but they believed maybe they could preserve a spark. Legends began to spread. Of a vault, hidden beneath the ruins of an ancient financial district, filled with the last real cash ever printed. Untouched, unregistered, free. Some believed it was a myth. Others believed it was a symbol. But either way, it gave the resistance something the system could never truly erase: hope. Because deep down in every controlled citizen and every faceless buyer, a question still burned quietly. If freedom isn't something you can buy, is it something worth trading everything else for?